Hey guys, I made a slideshow about special enemies. Um, okay, let's get into it. So, the first question that I want to discuss is what is the goal of special enemies in general? Since, if I want to talk about special enemies in Payday 2, I want to, first talk generally about special enemies. So, I think one of the major goals is this point number one here, and that's disruption of regular gameplay. Like if you're kind of shooting the same enemy over and over and you're dealing with it in the exact same way every time, it's kind of boring. So they add something a little bit different, a little bit, you know, more exciting. So that's, I think, number one. Number two is I think special enemies should pose a unique challenge that you need to prepare for. Like, if you have heavy SWAT and heavy SWAT but blue, like that's not a special enemy. It's just a heavy SWAT. It doesn't change anything. And then lastly, you should be dying to the special enemies, either directly or indirectly. And, ponder to yourself for a moment whether or not the Payday 2 special enemies accomplish these. And we'll talk about it. But first I want to talk about... Oh, fuck. All my pictures are going to be... Oh, hold on. All right. I want to talk about special enemies in co-op shooters that I think are good. Number one is the Stingtail from DRG. And I think the reason why the Stingtail is a good special enemy is because what it does to your positioning, right? So in DRG, positioning is basically the most important thing on higher difficulties. And I'm not talking about like Hazard 5 or 5+. Those aren't particularly challenging or interesting. I'm talking about modded difficulties. Modded difficulties will force you to consider your positioning a lot, in fact, constantly. And I really like what Stingtails add to that, because they grab a player and they get rid of them, or they don't get rid of them, they pull them out of their positioning, right? And there's so much variability that can happen with that. So like, for example, the driller's job in general is to keep the grunts away, right? And then everyone else kind of focuses on specialized targets. If a Stingtail grabs a driller, right, then what? You're going to get overrun very fast, so you either need to go to your driller or your driller needs to go to you. It immediately changes the dynamic of everything, right? Or suppose the Stingtail grabs your gunner. Now you are without a shield, right? Shields are so useful in so many ways. If you get your shield taken away, as in your gunner taken away, what are you going to do? What's your plan? What if the Stingtail grabs someone to a faraway place and then kills them there? There's so many cool things that I think the Stingtail does, and that's why I think it's such a good special enemy, because it's so drastically game-changing when it starts to screw with you. Okay, the next enemy I want to talk about is the dozer in Payday the Heist. I haven't played as much of Payday the Heist as I have in Payday 2, but I think dozers are actually kind of scary in Payday the Heist. And that's because they're fast and they're tanky, right? Which is not a thing with... I mean, we'll talk about it later, but that's not really a thing with Payday 2, right? Payday the Heist dozers, they show up, they kind of run at you, and everyone needs to look at them and get them out of here, or the dozer is just going to blow you apart one by one, right? I think it's a very, admittedly, basic enemy, but as a special, works great. I like the dozer in Payday the Heist. That said, looks a little stupid. What can you do, though? Lastly, I want to talk about the Witch in Left 4 Dead 2. What I think is interesting about the Witch is that she kind of gets in your way, and you can hear the Witch from kind of far away. And depending on where the Witch appears, might not even matter, right? But if it does matter, then you are going to have to pay attention, right? Either deal with the Witch in a coordinated fashion, or avoid it, or do something, right? But for the most part, the gameplay of Left 4 Dead is just kind of walking in a line and keeping zombies away. And the Witch gets in the way of that. Because, you know, if she's in the way of your line, then she's going to stop you. And I think it's a far more interesting enemy than any of the other specials from Left 4 Dead. I would have put a special enemy from Killing Floor 2 on here, but genuinely none of those enemies are remotely memorable. And I can't really think of any major other co-op shooters that I've played. So those are some enemies that I think are good special enemies. And now let's talk about Payday 2 specials. So Payday 2 specials don't really do their job well at all. And part of that is that we have 225 damage heavies, right? They are the number one threat on death sentence, always. Yeah, there might be a special here or there, or hell, you can have 10 specials in front of you. If there is a heavy, it is going to one-shot you from a distance. You need to be able to deal with that. Heavies are always going to be the number one priority. And the difference is, like in DRG, for example, right? Grunts are just filler. You need to deal with the grunts, or someone needs to deal with the grunts so that someone else can deal with the actual threatening enemies, right? Compared to Payday 2, where if you can deal with heavies, then the rest of the enemies don't really matter. So, point number one as to why special enemies in Payday 2 suck. Point number two, the AI is too slow. The special enemies very often fail to do what they try to do. Cloakers kind of suck at cloaking. Like, tasers kind of suck at tasing. Like, they can't really do what they're supposed to. And even if they could do what they were supposed to, the time to kill is too fast. You know, even if an enemy, right, even if a cloaker charges at you, right, the player does so much damage that it doesn't matter. They can charge at you, and you can just kill them anyway. Or, it sort of also plays into AI being too slow. You can kill them before they do anything. You can kill them before you even notice them. Oftentimes, you're shooting into a crowd, and then you hear, like, medic down, taser down, and you didn't even know they were there. Special enemies die way too fast for them to be useful. And so I think these are the three main reasons why special enemies in Payday 2 kind of suck. First off, they're not dangerous compared to the common enemy. What's a good word for it? Fodder? Like, heavies are technically fodder enemies, but they're the most dangerous enemies on the map at all times. So that kind of screws up special enemies. Second off, special enemies kind of suck at doing their jobs because they're too slow, and they die too fast. So, yeah. Now, I want to go over sort of each special enemy one by one in this order, excluding, like, bosses or event specials. So yeah, let's talk about shields. Shields are fine. I have them rated here as a 4 out of 5. I think the idea of a shield is good, right? It's got a lot of counterplay options, including just walking around it, using a piercing weapon, or shock and awe, or any other stun of some kind, which is fine, because of how common they are. They're so common that having so many options to deal with them, I think, is acceptable. That said, they do basically no damage. Like, they're not relevant damage-wise. They stand there as a shield, which, like, okay. But if they just stand there, they don't do anything. They give you the opportunity to walk around it. Right? I mean, like, walk around the shield, that's a meme. Because it's bad. You shouldn't do it. But you can. If you see an isolated shield, you can just walk around it. It's not going to do anything. It can't hurt you. They're just so weak, and I don't understand why. We're talking about death sentence here. This is all in the context of death sentence. But I think they're good. The only thing I would change is fixing their damage. I would bring it back up to what it was, 70. Maybe higher. I think it's not a terrible idea to even go higher than that. Shields, I think, overall, good. Snipers. Snipers, I also think, are good. Right? I think the most important counterplay is just knowing where they are. Right? If you know where snipers are, you just check their spawns before you go out somewhere, and then it's good. If you don't know where they are, I mean, they announce themselves with their laser, but you can wear armor, right? Because if they can't get through your armor, like, for example, an armor, then they can't hit your health, and then they don't matter. You can have dodge, because you can dodge sniper shots, which is a little silly. But in general, they sit far away, they have low health, they're pretty easy to deal with, as long as you know where they are. If you don't know where they are, I think they can be a decent threat. That said, I think they have a problem where they shoot really slow and miss a lot. Like in that Crook build video that I did, I don't remember which one it was. It was the one with the Wasp. Like, I tried zerking on a sniper, and he couldn't hit me, and he shot so slow that a convert walked up and killed him. Like, that's ridiculous. Snipers should shoot way faster, and they just shouldn't miss. Or it should be a dramatically smaller chance. I also don't think you should be able to dodge sniper shots. Maybe that's an extra step. But it's fine. I think snipers are fine. You can leave them alone for now. They're not the biggest problem. Let's talk about one of the bigger problems, tasers. So tasers, as I mentioned, kind of suck, because they can't tase you. They also do basically no damage. They used to do pretty good damage. They used to actually be dangerous, but they no longer are. In terms of counterplay, right, there's a skill, Shockproof, that sucks, right? And the reason that Shockproof sucks is because tasers can't tase you. Like, they can, but they're really bad at it. Like, they take too long to charge it. They kind of stand in place waiting for you to do it. And even if they tase you, they auto-reload your weapon. And when they auto-reload your weapon, you can just shoot them, and they stumble around a little bit and untase you. Like, tasers just they don't kill you. They're bad enemies. They don't do anything. They don't change anything. They struggle to tase you, which leaves them with just their gun, and their gun does basically no damage. So they suck. There's a skill associated with them that is pointless. Shockproof is one of the worst skills in the game because it counters something that you don't need to counter. Now, there's an argument for, oh, they tase you and then other enemies kill you. And, like, okay, but again, they reload your weapon. It takes a long time to be tased before you get incapacitated. In that time, it's pretty easy to just, like, shoot a couple of heavies, if there even are any, clear out the most dangerous enemies, and then shoot the taser last. Like, how many times do you actually die to tasers? Not that many. And even if, like, if we're considering just incapacitation downs, which is when they tase you long enough to auto-down you, like, I've got 5,500 hours or whatever. I think that's happened maybe 4 times. Like, they suck. They can't do anything. They're such a pointless special enemy. I wish they were better. Let's talk about the next one, which is cloakers. Cloakers are also bad. Not as bad as tasers, admittedly, because they can cloak. Since they can cloak you, it's an instant down, no questions asked. That said, they're also kind of bad at that. And just like the tasers, they also do basically no damage. So, if they struggle to down you, and they do no damage, you don't really have a reason to be afraid of them. The only times when you down to cloakers is when you, like, just ignore them. I'm gonna take off my sweater. Okay. And just like the tasers, they also have a skill associated with them, Counter-Strike. But you don't need it, because they don't tase you. And also, Counter-Strike is competing with Berserker. Like, they're in the same tree at the same level. What a terrible skill. Awful. Just so bad. And crits, I think, are definitely worth mentioning. Cloakers, despite their high health bar, have a significantly higher headshot multiplier than other enemies on their difficulty. And that goes for all difficulties. On Death Sentence, it's times 9, I think. And you can see here, I have health, and then the number next to it is head health. That is head health factoring in helmet popping from perk decks. So, even though the Cloaker has 3,600 health, its head health is only 320. That's like nothing. And even worse, crits are on almost every build. And crits apply the headshot multiplier. So divide that by 9 as well. If you hit them to the head, they have like one-shottable health by pistols. And if you hit them to the body, it still multiplies your damage by 9. They die too fast to crits, which everyone has. So they usually just die by themselves. They can't cloak you in time, because their AI sucks. They die too fast, they do no damage. So they have this other, like, hiding little quirk, which doesn't work. It works, they hide, but they're bad at it. Because, first off, they hide in only a couple set spots on every map. Second off, they make noise, so you can just hear them. And third off, even when you show up to where they're hiding, the time it takes for them to step out from hiding and actually do something is way too long. They're dead before they can do anything. Again, they just can't do anything. They don't have enough time. And lastly, they can't cloak the last player. This type of enemy, this instant down enemy, should be the scariest when you're alone, right? But the Cloaker functionally can't down you if you're alone, which means, especially in solos, it's so funny, they are a nothing enemy. They do no damage, they can't cloak you, they do nothing. They're just so bad. That said, because they can insta-down you, you'll still sometimes go down to them compared to tasers. So, 2 out of 5. It's at least better. Now I want to talk about medics. Medics at least do a little bit more damage than those last two enemies. It's about light. So their whole thing is reviving enemies. There's no real counterplay, you just kind of kill them first. But the problem with medics is that you kill everything too fast anyway. Again, the time to kill is too short to matter. You can just kill straight through their healing, and not even notice it. Usually, right, like the counterplay here is kill them first. But you don't need to, because you can kill an enemy, the medic will heal them, you kill them again anyway because you're spraying into the crowd, and then that's it. The medic is on cooldown. It can't do anything again. Like, they're just not very good. At least they, do something, right? If there's a dozer nearby, you might consider changing how you play and killing the medic first. But if you see a medic and a group of, other enemies, you don't change how you play. They don't do anything for you. They're not really a threat. And now they can't even heal each other. That's fine. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I think medics are, at least the idea is there. The idea is there. I think the execution is a little bit lacking. Let's talk about martial marksmen. I don't know what they do. Like, they don't do anything. 0 out of 5. What do? They do 70 damage. Like, they're like a higher health light SWAT that announces its position? I don't understand the point of martial marksmen. What is the point? Someone please tell me. Genuinely. I don't know what their point is. They don't do anything. Did their AI even get fixed so that they don't get stuck in corners of maps? I don't know. I don't see martial marksmen. I removed marshals from my game, but when I play in pubs and I see marksmen, like, I just go, oh, look, a marksman. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't care. He doesn't do damage to me. And even though they have higher health, I don't know, I kill them. It's not enough. It's not like dozer health. It's too low. It doesn't matter. Time to kill is too fast. I don't really understand their point. Alright, next enemy. Martial shields. This may be a hot take, but I really like martial shields. If there was an option to have martial shields in my game and not martial marksmen, I would take it. But the remove marshals mod just removes both of them. I could go in and fiddle with it, but I don't care enough to. So here's why I like the martial shield. It's one of the few enemies that you think about when you see it. All right, the marshal has a shield. The shield will flash you, right? And unlike the other enemies, the counterplay is to shoot out the eyes on the shield, right? If you shoot out the eyes on the shield, it stuns sort of everything in the area. And that's so cool. There's this risk reward where if you aim for it but you miss, you get flashed instead. I think that's cool. Additionally, if you break their shield, they change. They become invincible for a couple seconds. And then they have this stunning shotgun. Their health also changes. I think that's a little bit weird. But the fact that they have invincibility is interesting because sometimes you don't even want to think about stunning them or getting around them. Sometimes you see them and it's this is a situation that I can't be bothered to deal with right now. So you just break their shield and then hide for a little bit, and then you peek out later to kill them. That's cool. This special enemy forces you to interact with the game a little bit differently. Not that much differently, admittedly, but it at least does something compared to a medic, which you ignore, or a taser, which you look at and then you go, oh, look, a taser. They don't do anything. Martial shields are actually impactful. That said, I think post-shield, they're a little bit annoying in a bad way. The stunning shotgun round, what's up with that? What are we doing? Why is that a thing? No one likes the weird screen fuckery. Come on. The fact that their health changes is also weird. I think they should just keep the same health throughout. And they should keep this 3840 health as opposed to the 960. The 960 would make them die too fast again. But in general, martial shields, great. I can't say with confidence, but I think they might be my favorite special enemy in the game, unironically. Either them or probably snipers. I can't say for sure. Crazy how the marshals have the worst special enemy in the game and maybe the best special enemy in the game. Fascinating. Okay. Dozers I want to talk about all separately. Green dozers. They have big damage. That's their whole thing. When they're close, they do big damage. I think green dozers are good. Because green dozers pose an interesting threat when they're close to you. When they're close to you, they'll one-shot armor. They'll one-shot your health bar. They'll one-shot everything. And I think that's good. think I'm peaking my mic. Let's lower the gate on that a little. I'm just so passionate talking about dozers. Yeah, and so the fact that they can strip all of your armor in one shot, the fact that they can one-shot your health, actually makes you consider the danger of being around them. Now, of course, there's also on the other end of the spectrum where you have Anarchist, where the Anarchist is unable to be killed by green dozers because they just don't shoot fast enough, which is kind of funny. But I think that's okay, because we have a bunch of different dozers, and I think it's interesting that different dozers counter different things. In terms of counterplay, you could break their faceplate and then just crit them. And like I said, basically all builds have crits. Since dozers have, a higher headshot multiplier, and also a built-in 5x crit multiplier, their big health ends up falling apart a little quicker than you'd expect. Which I think defeats the point. Unlike the Payday the Heist dozer, where you have to kill them. Like Payday 2 dozers, they're alive and then they're dead. But at least sometimes green dozers will do something to you before you are able to kill them. So I think they're a pretty good enemy. I like it. Black dozers, less so. They got buffed recently to shoot faster or something, but it doesn't really matter. The Grace Period is going to block the dangerous damage anyway, and their damage is lower than a heavy SWAT, so it's not really a threat. They don't improve on the green dozer in any way. I think black dozers are kind of like the default dozer. They're not very threatening. They're just kind of a big health bar. That's all they are. Tanky. That's what they do. Not great. Worse than a green dozer. Skull dozers. Skull dozers are interesting because these, on the other hand, are a threat to Anarchist players. They're the biggest threat to Anarchist players. Because dozers, skull dozers, do 120 damage at all ranges, and they shoot quickly, and they don't have to sit and reload like the black dozers, they can actually be dangerous. Like if you see a skull dozer, and you're not reloaded, or it's running at you when you're doing an objective or something, you're going to have to change what you're doing. And that's not a thing for black dozers. It is a thing for green dozers, not a thing for not a thing for black dozers. It is a thing for green dozers and skull dozers. I think skull dozers are good. They counter a different type of thing. They mess with armor gating, compared to green dozers, which will blow away armor, and then you kind of need to figure it out. Skull dozers are going to chip away all of your armor gating fast, so you kind of need to deal with them differently. Good enemy. I like it. Minigun dozers. I don't really like them as much. They have twice the health bar, but what do they do with that health bar? The reason that minigun dozers change how you play is bad. Think about when you are annoyed to see a minigun dozer. It's not oh my god, I'm being swarmed by enemies and a minigun dozer appeared. It's always, okay, well, the assault ended, I'm gonna go do the objective, and then you walk out there and there's a minigun dozer standing there. They're slow, they can't reach anything in time, and because of that, they end up kind of, hanging around areas after everything's gone. And after everything's gone, they're not a threat anymore. The only times that dozers are dangerous is when you can't focus on them, right? Because if you can focus on them, again, the time to kill is too fast. They die immediately. It doesn't matter. But if they're surrounded by enemies, especially heavies are dangerous. You're going to have to kill the heavies first. And while you're killing the heavies, maybe the dozer does something to you. It's not really a thing for miniguns. By the time the minigun reaches you, there is nothing around to help it. Minigun dozers suck. I don't know why sprinting was taken away from them. It's such a weird cycle, because they used to not be able to sprint, and then they were allowed to sprint, and now they're not allowed to sprint anymore. Why? Doesn't really make sense to me. They also deal 120 damage, which is kind of encroaching on Skulldozer territory. I don't know why they do that. It's a little weird. I don't really like the design of minigun dozers. Okay, medic dozers. Medic dozers are the problem child of dozers. They do no damage. They heal enemies, but as I mentioned, the healing doesn't really matter. You can just damage through it. Now, since dozers spawn in pairs of 2, you'll get like a medic dozer and some other dozer, which is like, ooh, scary, but not really. Like, they're very easy to deal with. If they're alone, they do no damage. They're not a threat. Like, I don't understand why they're here. Like, they're fun as a little quirk enemy, but they realistically don't threaten the player in any way. They suck. I don't know. I have nothing. Like, I like their design. I like the idea. But they, like, the way they fail as a dozer, they fail as a medic. I don't really understand what their point is. They kind of suck. Okay, SWAT turret. I consider this a special enemy, even though if it's, like, not on every map. I don't think SWAT turrets are very good. So they have a very big health bar, but it's like fraudulent. They have a 100 times damage multiplier to bullets. They have like a 40 or something multiplier to explosives. But even then, it doesn't really matter, because you break their shield and then they hide. And the shield doesn't have that health bar. They have like a weird damage clamp as well, where, like, if you take a Thanatos and you shoot into it, it doesn't do as much damage as it should. Which I think was initially added to prevent them from being, like, one-shot. But nowadays, you pick up an Akimbo SMG with crits, and it shoots, like, 1,000 bullets that are all less than this damage clamp, and then it kills it immediately. Like, the health doesn't make sense. I think there's problems. I like the idea. Admittedly, I really like the idea of a SWAT turret because it does area denial well, sort of. It could do area denial well. It doesn't, but it could, right? I think, this is probably not possible, but if it sort of maybe chased you between a couple set points on a map, sort of like in Meltdown, except that in Meltdown it doesn't sit in any useful spots. If it sort of held down an entrance to an area, or something like that, pretty cool. Or at least would be. I also really like that you can use ECMs to hack them. Right? You can take this area denial enemy thing, and using this deployable, you can change it to your side. I think that's really, really cool. ECMs in general, I think, are pretty cool and loud because of what they do. You're sort of trading ammo or medic bags or first aids for objectives, and you're trading it for this, like, sort of area stun, area control. It's cool. I like it. In practice, not very good, but at least it's a cool idea. That said, turrets, the main problem is suppression. Turrets will lock onto a player and then just kind of keep shooting them through a wall, and that means you're suppressed and your armor never comes back. It's really annoying. There's no reason that should exist. Terrible mechanic. I think turrets should just be faster at locking onto players, right? Like, you can literally just run circles around, not even run, you can walk circles around SWAT turrets and they can't reach you. They drop gas, but, like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't matter. I think they're too easy to fuck with. And they're breakable. I like the idea of repairs, where, like, oh, you break it, it goes down for repairs, now you don't have this area denial thing going on. And then it comes back. Cool idea. The problem is, after you do that twice, then you can break it forever, and then it never comes back. So, like, come on. And that's if you can't deal the damage fast enough, right? If you have akimbo SMGs, you can just break it before it goes down the first time. So it doesn't do anything there. Lastly, because their damage scaling is like linear, you can get yourself mega graced in such a way that like no other enemy can. Like if you walk toward them and they just keep hitting their shots on you, they're just gonna evaporate you. Which I think is kind of dumb, considering they can't like they can't really do that, and you can't really judge like your linear distance from it. So sometimes you think you're fine, and then it rips you apart. It's annoying. I think the biggest issue with SWAT turrets is they're annoying in an unfun way. That said, I think there's potential. Lastly, Captain Winters. Now, Captain Winters is immortal, but the way you get him to leave is you do enough damage, or you kill his shields. He does irrelevant damage, as do all of his shields, but that's not really the point. The point is that he gives you an infinite assault, and then also, I think it's within 30 seconds, or within 60 seconds. Probably within 60 seconds. Within 60 seconds, enemy resistance is up to half. So all of your damage is halved, which makes, like, it's noticeable. Because you kill enemies so fast in the game, when you double that, like, it actually becomes noticeable that you're shooting into enemies and they're not dying as fast as you expect. And as much as that is an annoying feature, it at least does something. It makes you think like, ugh, I'll go deal with the captain. His counterplay has to do with piercing weapons, explosives, fire, poison, and I think that's where the problems with the captain lie, right? Like, what are the piercing weapons in the game? They're sniper rifles. They're the 5.7. These are already good weapons. They're already the best weapons. Sniper rifles, that is. Explosives, like the Commando. Amazing weapon. Fire. If you have like a Arbiter with incendiary rounds, very good weapon. If you have like a Dragon's Breath Grim, very good weapon. Poison, less so, right? But you can shoot like a poison grenade on top of him. It'll work. The problem, I think, with Captain Winters is that he enforces good weapons and makes bad ones worse. Like, that's a bad mechanic. It's bad design. I don't know. Like, if you have some schmuck with pistols who's already challenging himself by playing pistols, and then here appears an enemy with like 100 shields. Not 100. There's 8 of them. But there's a bunch of shields. And then he, like, is trying to deal with this circle of shields. And then Schmuck Boy, Infamy 99, or Infamy 388, level 100, with Anarchist and a Contractor, fucking sits 60 meters away and just kills the captain instantly. It's bad design. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I like the Endless Assault. I like the damage resistance. It encourages you to go out and solve this problem. Drop everything you have, go out, solve this problem, and then you're rewarded with a fade. But it just doesn't make sense to reward weapons that are already good and punish the ones that are already bad. It's dumb. Bad. So if we recap, the average score that I gave these enemies is 2.5. That's 50%, which is failing. Right? Not good. And if you'll notice, the common enemies, they can't do what they're supposed to. For example, cloakers and tasers. What they do doesn't matter. Medics. or they can't deal any damage. That was a lot of enemies. I think these are big things holding back these enemies. So let's look at some solutions. Let's talk about the smallest changes. Shields. Just give them more damage. I'm talking about death sentence here. They should at least do something to you. They should at least be a slight danger by themselves. Like even the Stingtail by itself. It's pretty tanky and it does damage. It can one-shot you depending on how much health you have. It pulls you away and it can one-shot you. By itself. It's dangerous. It's a threat. Shields should be able to do damage. And we have a grace period. The grace period is going to block most of their shots anyway. So at least let them do more damage. Snipers, I just don't think they should be allowed to miss. Make them shoot faster and don't allow them to miss. Dodge shouldn't work on them. First off, dodge is already better than armor, I would say. High dodge, at least. High dodge is better than high armor. Maybe that's a controversial take. Like the only reason, well not the only reason, but the reason that armor places above dodge dex is because it has 2 seconds. It's not because it has armor. If armor didn't have 2 seconds, like it would be below rogue. Rogue would be above it. I think you can find some people right now who would argue that rogue is better than armor, and they're not like insane people. Like I think that's a valid take. I don't agree, but I think that's something you could argue for. I don't think snipers should be allowed to miss, be it just by themselves or by dodge. They're snipers. They should be able to hit you. And this is maybe a little bit spicy, but remove their lasers. On death sentence, you should be on death sentence if you're ready for death sentence. If you're looking for a challenge. Snipers should not announce themselves. You should be ready to deal with snipers. You should know that there's snipers there. You should know the threat they pose, and then you should deal with it accordingly. And if you don't, they should kill you. It would make sense. That said, removing their lasers might be a bit too much. I'm, again, talking from a perspective of 5,500 hours. That said, maybe make 1 down add special quirks to the enemies, because current 1 down sucks. The idea of 1 down, oh wow, you take 3 downs, you go down to 1, ooh. Like, it's so boring. And again, it doesn't change how you play. Maybe you bring a medic bag if you don't have an ace deployable instead of an ammo bag. Like, it doesn't change anything. And realistically, how often are you running out of medic bag charges? Even on 1 down. It's not really a thing. Anyway. Martial shields. I think at a bare minimum, they just shouldn't have the concussion rounds in their second phase. It's just kind of annoying in an unfun way. So I'd say remove that, and then also bring up their first phase health to match their second phase. They also change weapons between phases. That's kind of weird. Why would they do that? Just have it as 1 weapon. And because they do, like, more special functions, I think you can leave it at 70 damage. I think they do 70 damage. I think so. At least in phase 1. And as for dozers, maybe this is questionable, but remove their crit multipliers. They should not be allowed to be taken down so fast with crits, especially when everyone already has crits. If you make them actually tanky, it allows them to do what they're supposed to do. For green dozers, that is, get close, remove your armor, or remove your health, and skull dozers sort of pester you. They should actually be able to do that if they have health. Let's talk about these enemies here. Medics, I think, should just heal much faster. I was playing with Dr. Newbie's Remove Medic cooldown mod for a while, until I realized it doesn't sync to clients. So I was dealing with these like weird medics, and everyone else in my lobby wasn't. But I really liked what they did, because removing their cooldown allowed them to like hold down an area. Like if there's a hallway with enemies, like you can't shoot through it. You can't deal with it while a medic is around. You have to deal with the medic first. That said, I think it needs to be cleaned up a little bit, because that would sort of, again, enforce sniper rifles. And that's bad. We don't want to do that. But I think they should at least be able to heal much faster. The current healing rate is so slow that they don't matter. And black dozers, I think, again, should just have real tankiness. Like I said, I think they're okay as like the default dozer. They're not very strong. It's okay. I think as long as they're tanky, they at least will fulfill their purpose. Let's get to these tricky ones. The ones that kind of actually start to suck. Cloakers, for example. Like I said, they're very bad at hiding. I think either rework it entirely so that they can hide in more places, they can get in and out of hiding spots faster, and when they're hiding, they don't announce themselves with their noises. And I think that would actually make hiding matter. Or remove hiding altogether. There's only so many cloakers you can have on the map, and if you have like 2 hiding cloakers and 1 roaming cloaker, like you have 1 cloaker. Those 2 hiding cloakers aren't a threat. Like if they at least roamed, you know, they could maybe catch you. But currently, they just kind of sit there and wait to be killed. It's bad. They shouldn't do that. I think they should also attack solo players. I don't see a reason why not to. It was a thing in Payday the Heist. I think it's a thing in Payday 3. Why is it not a thing in Payday 2? It just makes sense to let them attack solo players. They should also at least do some damage. Because right now, again, this is sort of all ideas that I would like to add. Maybe it's all too much at once. Maybe it's not. They should be allowed to be dangerous. If they could not suck at hiding, if they could cloak solo players, if they could do damage, and if you just, you know, lower that headshot multiplier so they don't get one shot by a crit pistol, then I think cloakers would actually be able to do something. Like, their AI isn't very good either, but they at least sometimes cloak you. Right? I've been playing with aggressive cloakers as well. A big reason why I decided to do this is because I have so many mods that make the game harder, because, like, it's boring. The enemies aren't very good at stopping the player. And I like aggressive cloakers. Aggressive cloakers, admittedly, is buggy. Sometimes they just fly through walls, and they'd, like, float above you and then slowly lower down. They shouldn't do that, obviously, but they should be a threat. They should threaten to cloak you. They should instant down you. That should be what you're worried about. But most of the time, you just don't care if there's a cloaker. I think that's bad. Minigun dozers. Just let them sprint. Let them sprint. I think also maybe lower their damage down to 80. That's kind of where they were before. Because if they could sprint and also do 120 damage, then they're just a tanky skull dozer, which is weird. I don't think they should do that. If they sprint, and again, also remove their crit multiplier, so that you actually have to kill them. That way they sprint, they're big, healthy, they're annoying. I think they'll at least do something that way. SWAT turrets, I think, shouldn't be able to suppress you. Maybe removing suppression from the game entirely is a bit dramatic. But also, maybe it's not. Maybe just remove suppression. Anyway, turrets probably shouldn't be able to suppress you. They shouldn't have that weird linear damage scaling, which causes weird grace. They shouldn't have the stupid damage clamp and multipliers. They should either have endless repairs, or no repairs and you just have to break them. I think endless repairs is better. Where they go down for, I don't know, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then they come back up. That would make them cool. Again, in conjunction with the rest of these. If possible, allow them to move. I don't think that's possible. There's a question mark. Anyway. Captain Winters. like, again, I like the idea, but I think he sucks in execution. I think I saw this in some mod where if Captain Winters is out, all shields get replaced by his minions. I don't think that's a terrible idea. I haven't played with it, so I don't know. But I think the fact that the minions hang around him is part of the thing where he's encouraging the whole sniper rifles, explosives, fire that's already good. If they went out and, like, attacked you as shields, I think that would be better. If you do that, I think, sort of my vision for the captain, is that he just holds a permanent assault and adds these, like, more annoying shields into your spawns. And sort of like the FBI infinite assault or whatever thing they have in Payday 3, the van where you go and you break the antenna and then it stops. Like, I think that would make more sense for what Winters is trying to do. You know, he pushes these shields in, and then also he holds an infinite assault, which you have to reach him on some outskirt of the map to kill. And it shouldn't be, like, pierceable. Maybe you gotta, like, run up and, I don't know, interact with the door to a SWAT van, go inside, kill him, and then he dies and the minions stop and the assault ends. Something. Anything other than what he currently is. I think he just sucks currently. Okay, let's talk about these dogshit enemies. Tasers. I don't know why they don't do any damage. They don't do any damage, and they struggle to tase you. What is their point? You should make them do real damage and make them tase more. Either or, ideally, both. They also shouldn't reload your weapon. Like, why would they do that? It doesn't really make sense to me. And also, like, the shaking effect is not really strong enough. Like, the Payday the Heist effect, you can look at that one. That one is tangible. Like, you can feel that one. The Payday the Heist taser, it, like, I don't know, like, turns your screen 15 degrees every second. Like, it's just it. You can still see everything clearly. It doesn't really do anything. So tasers should be able to tase you. They should be able to kill you. They shouldn't help you kill them. I don't know. It's a weird enemy. Whatever. Medic dozers. I don't think they need to exist. If medics were to work, then I think medic dozers would be extremely annoying. And I think right now they're useless. If we make medics work, medic dozers would be annoying. So I don't see a reason for medic dozers to exist outside of, oh look, it's a special enemy in Holdout or Crime Spree. I think that's fine. Leave them there. Don't put them into the regular game. I don't know why they need to be there. Oh, and I wanted to mention the idea of taking that Crime Spree thing where medics on death will heal everything around them. That's not a real buff. It doesn't matter. Because again, enemies die too fast, and like 99 out of 100 times, when you would kill a medic like that, everything around it was already at full health. So it doesn't do anything. And also, the healing animation stuns enemies. So a medic dying and then healing everything around it is like an active problem for the enemies. So that's a terrible change. Please do not do that. Anyway, remove medic dozer from the game. Or from the regular game. Leave them in Crime Spree and Holdout. Let Holdout have something. Martial Marksman. I've run out of tea. I don't know. I don't understand their point. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they're supposed to do. Like, I can tell what the other enemies are supposed to do. I have no idea idea what the martial marksman is supposed to do. It's difficult for me to suggest something because I don't know what it does. Conclusion. The special enemies suck. They're never a danger. They're not really even a distraction. And you don't really need to, ever think about it. Like here. What do I do if X is around the corner? Again, back to DRG. It's the co-op shooter that I know the most about. If you hear a bulk somewhere in the cave, you have to consider, what do I do if I go around this corner and there's a bulk? Right? Because the bulk, when it smashes, it's going to kill you. So you need to be able to deal with it. When it dies, it explodes. It shoots out these bombs. So you need to have space to get away from it. Like if you're in a tight tunnel and you're being chased from one direction, if there's a bulk around that corner, you need to consider that. You need to think about what you're going to do. Are you going to back up? Are you going to run around it? What's your plan? None of the special enemies in Payday 2 really do that. Shields are too easy to deal with. Right? Which, again, I think they're fine because of how many there are. Shock and Awe is on a lot of builds, and if not, then you have some sort of piercing weapon. So most of the time, shields are pretty trivial. Martial shields a bit less. Like I said, they're the one enemy that is that changes what you do if they're around a corner. Snipers are too slow. Even if you don't know where they are, they usually miss a shot on you, and then you can kind of look around and spot them. So they're not really a threat. Taser and cloakers don't do anything, not worth mentioning. Medics, you just DPS through them, it doesn't matter. Dozers, again, you just DPS through them, it doesn't matter. Turrets and the captain aren't on all maps, and I think their design's just kind of bad. But, to put some respect on turrets, if there's a turret around a corner, you'll know. You'll think about it. Not so much for the captain. And then we're not going to talk about marksmen. I don't really understand their point. So again, sort of the biggest problem, if you want to call it that, it is a problem, but it's the fact that heavies are the number one threat at all times. But they should stay that way. Don't nerf heavies. You need to buff specials. The fact that heavies do 225 is what defines Death Sentence. They are a fodder enemy that is dangerous. I think specials should just be more dangerous. They should mess with all your plans. Obviously, first, and before anything else, fix their AI. The fact that special enemies can't do what they're supposed to do, it just sucks. That's the number one reason, outside of Heavy SWAT's existence, that's the number one reason for why they're bad. They just can't do anything. They can't do what they're supposed to do. And I think that's mainly an AI issue. And to fix them dying so fast, maybe turn off crits. Maybe just increase all their health. These two things are going to stop them from dying so fast and will actually allow them to do something, and that something is going to be kill the player. Ideally, in an ideal universe. They should be a threat. They should be a concern. They're not. And really, I just want to say, Death Sentence should be hard. It's the highest difficulty in the game, and it's not hard. These are the play rates of all the difficulties. Death Sentence is the number one played difficulty. That doesn't make sense. It's the hardest difficulty in the game. It's just not hard. Casual players are able to beat this. I want to struggle on Death Sentence. I asked Leif about completion rates. He said he didn't have those, which, oh well. But I'm curious about completion rates of Heist on Death Sentence. Do you think it's more than 70%? Because that would be ridiculous. I think it should be a exponential curve, where on normal, there's easy over here, which is funky. Easy is like on that one tutorial difficulty. On normal, you should have like a 99% success rate. And then, it increases. And then say we hit the halfway mark at... Fine, let's be generous. We hit the halfway mark at Death Wish. 50% completion rate on Death Wish. And then Death Sentence should be maybe 30% completion rate on, like, maps that people actually play. I'm not talking about, like, Bank Heist. Really, half the maps in the game shouldn't even be considered. Death Sentence should be hard. If you ask any, like, semi-competent player, is Death Sentence hard? They'll say no. It's just not hard. If you can deal with heavies, you can deal with everything in the game. It's boring. Like, there's potential there. The fact that heavies are such a threat is what makes Death Sentence interesting. But imagine if they were such a threat, and also the special enemies did literally anything. That would be cool, right? It would pose a challenge. It would be interesting to play. It would be fun. It's okay for the highest difficulty to be hard. I want to fail. Like, this is why my game is, like, so modded right now. Like, I have enemies moving faster. I have sniper lasers turned off. I have +2 dozers. I have gas spawning. What the fuck? I have aggressive cloakers. I have last man cloaking. I did have that medic buff. Like, I have to add all of these fuck-ass mods. And even then, if I get, like, 3 6 out of 10 players in my lobby, the maps are still pretty clearable. But when I don't have those players, I like it. I fail maps. It's fun. Losing is fun. It's fun to lose in games. If you win all the time, what's the point? This is like a whole thing in Slay the Spire 2 right now, where a couple of weeks ago, they pushed an update to the main branch from the beta branch, where they nerfed a bunch of infinite combos. And then people got upset, because now they can no longer consistently win on the highest difficulty. But what's the point? If you can just pick up these, like, certain broken cards and win every game on the highest difficulty, where's the fun? It's boring. And it's kind of the same for Death Sentence. And sure, you can still have 4 players with Hacker, and no matter what you do, it's gonna be easy. But then that's sort of up to the player. If you make Death Sentence hard, then you can allow players to sort of pick easy builds or pick harder builds. Because right now, even with harder builds, Death Sentence is not hard. It just isn't. And again, I would love to see the numbers on this. Alas, there aren't any, to my knowledge. But if I think, like in my lobby, I'd say the success rate of heists is maybe 40%. Which is fine, I'm happy with that. If I join public games, it's maybe like 80 or 90. And sure, there's also this factor to consider where, like, when I join a lobby, I'm putting my foot on the scale in, like, what's the most not asshole way to say this? Fuck it, I'll say it in an asshole way. For every given pub lobby I join, I'm going to be the best player in it, because all of the other good players have left the game. So by default, like, I wouldn't even say I was that good, but by default, I'm going to be the best player in every pub lobby. And me putting my foot onto the scale is obviously going to increase the win rates. But even then, Death Sentence should be hard. Like, I should be able to help increase the win rate, but until you get a lobby of like 4 good players, you should not be able to clear death sentence consistently. Anyway, that's my whole thing, really. I just want death sentence to be hard. I want the game to be more interesting. And this is my last slide, I'm pretty sure. Yes. Okay. Anyway, there's my video. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I wrong? Am I a fat chud? Did you like my intro? Yeah. Now that Sidetrack is sort of working on the game, hopefully we can steer the direction of the game into a more interesting game. Because right now, I just don't think it is. Death sentence is stale. It's just not very hard. It is what it is. And maybe I'm blinded. And this is like super elitist. Which, okay, tell me. What do you disagree with? What do you agree with? Do you think specials are too strong? Anyway, that's my video. Goodbye.